Hey everyone, thank you for watching. Today's video I'm so excited to do. It is going to be a palette tag video. So I saw my friend, I saw my friend Angelica Nyqvist do this, where she talks about her top 3 palettes in different categories, such as neutral palettes, colorful palettes, high-end palettes, affordable palettes, etc. And I thought that seemed like a really fun idea, so that is what I wanted to do today. I'll link her video down below, and let's go ahead and get started. Let's jump into my outfit of the day. So today I am wearing the brown pants from the Carly Bible Misguided collection, and then also this Misguided sweater, which I didn't plan, but I actually just finished filming my members only video for November and realized that I did Misguided and Misguided, so there you have it. Like I said, I've just finished filming my members only video. This went up in November. I know this video is going to be in Vlogmas. I'm not sure exactly when it's going up though, so it could be a while. But I did a try to get ready with me on my makeup today. I tried some new products. I used the Annette's Makeup Corner and Annette's Makeup Corner and Odens eye palette. I will link all of the makeup I used down below. I did use my number 2 Dior powder, which I feel like makes me look kind of pale, and I'm also a little bit under the weather. So there is that. My energy isn't as high as it usually is. I also have my dog literally like on my lap because she picks up when I don't feel the best. But Vlogmas really means no days off. So because I did my members only video and I was like, I have makeup on, I might as well film another video. So I don't feel totally confident today, but you know what? It is what it is. We just have to keep pushing through. But I will link all of my makeup down below. If you're interested in becoming a member, that is always linked down below also for member exclusive content, live chats, book club, all the fun things. But to jump into the tag video, so when I saw Angie do this, I was like, A, I'm definitely gonna do it. B, that's pretty simple. I should be able to knock out which palettes I'll put in each category pretty quickly. No, it really wasn't. What I did first was I pulled out just, you know, like some of my top palettes, put them out into my living room, looked at the different categories, divided them up, and then I was like, okay, I still need, you know, some colorful palettes. I still need some affordable palettes. Went back to my closet where I've housed all of my makeup since I moved and tried to find some more. It actually ended up being harder than I thought because there was some palettes that could be for multiple categories, and then you had to figure out, well, can another palette not be in multiple categories? So it's better to take. It was harder than I thought it was going to be, is what I'm trying to say, okay? But I did my best. I did my best. So for the first one, we have top 3 neutral palettes. All right, top 3 neutral palettes. Here we go. We got Urban Decay, we got Anastasia Beverly Hills, and we have Sigma Beauty. So from Urban Decay, the Naked Reloaded, I have talked so highly about this eyeshadow palette. It really has been a favorite since it launched. I've used it so much. I used to travel with it so much. I can just create some great looks with this palette. I love the more neutral tones. I love these 2 shades right in the middle here, Reputation and Burn. So beautiful, kind of like that burnt coppery shade. Burn has a little bit of red to it. I think it's such a fun shade. You can do something simple, you can do something more intricate with the Naked Reloaded, but I think that it's a great palette that I just threw on the floor. And then from Anastasia, the Sultry. I had pulled out the Sultry and the Soft Glam. I ended up going with the Sultry. I like the cool tones of this palette for sure, but this one has just always had my heart. And I was so sad that it was limited edition because it was a holiday palette, and then they brought it back. It was for 2020, right? They brought it back, and I was like, run, get this palette. Like, I was so excited when it came back, and I think that it's so beautiful. The shimmers in here are gorgeous. The Anastasia palettes, you know, obviously a lot of people rave about them, but truly to me, like the Sultry, I think is really good. I don't think I've ever ranked my Anastasia palettes. Would you want to see that? Because I am doing a palette declutter probably during Vlogmas also. I don't know if I'll be keeping all of my Anastasia palettes, so maybe I should do a declutter video before then, or a ranking video before then. Okay. And then from Sigma Beauty, you know, I love a lot of palettes from Sigma. You're definitely gonna be able to tell from this video that I have favorite brands of eyeshadows, right? You're gonna see more Sigma in here. But the Ambiance palette is gorgeous. Like, this as a neutral palette, super stunning. I love the Sigma quality. I love that it comes with the double-ended brushes. The neutral tones in here, the browns, it makes me so happy. The shimmers in here are so beautiful. The Ambiance is a gorgeous palette. I love the Cor de Rosa. I love the Untamed. War of Neutrals is such a beautiful one too. Ambiance I don't feel like gets talked about as much, but it's a gorgeous palette. All right, on the flip side of that, we have top 3 colorful / rainbow palettes. This was a little bit of a tougher one for me because I don't do colorful rainbow all that much, but I gave it my best shot. So speaking of Angie, I have her collab palette that she did here with the Kaleidos. This is the Club Nebula palette. This is such a beautiful palette. I had so much fun with this. Obviously, Angie is my friend. She's about to be invited to girls' nights because she's moving to the US. I'm very excited about it. Natasha, Pat, and Charlotte are also extremely excited that Angie's gonna start coming to girls' nights. We can't wait. But when this released, I was like, okay, girl, like, you can do, like, I'm looking at this and I'm so intimidated. You know, Angie was showing me even before it launched, like the swatches and, you know, kind of like her magnetic makeshift palette of what would be the palette. And I was like, how am I going to use this? But this palette is beautiful. And because the shadows are so easy to work with, it really makes it a nice palette for me to go to when I want to do something a little bit more adventurous. But I don't always have to go so adventurous when I reach for this palette. There's some mattes and some shimmers that I can pair together where it's still a little bit more Samantha, but a little bit more bold at the same time. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So this palette I think is so beautiful. Angie did such a great job on it. Had to include that one. And then from ColourPop, this is the Fade into Hue palette. This is one of the few rainbow palettes that I actually have in my collection. I just don't really buy rainbow palettes. I don't keep them around a lot if I get them in PR. But it's nice to have at least one in here where it's like, okay, if there's a color that I'm really needing, I can go into this palette and really get a lot out of this one. So again, the Fade into Hue, we have mattes, shimmers, there's some of the pressed glitters in here, some topper shades. Again, not my most reached into palette, but I like to have it around. I like to have it around. And then I also wanted to include from Natasha Denona, this is the Love palette. So this isn't a rainbow palette or colorful palette in like blues and greens and that sort of thing. But this is a very pink, purple, a little bit of red palette in here. And to me, when I look at this with my makeup preferences, this to me is more colorful. I love this palette though. It's such a favorite of mine. It has been since it came out. I just thought it was so stunning. I love the Natasha Denona formula. Again, you're gonna see a lot of Natasha Denona palettes in this video, but the Love palette always has a special place in my heart. Next up, we have a top 3 monochromatic palettes. So from Dose of Colors, the Marvelous Mauves. This is one of the first palettes I thought of when I saw this category get mentioned. I was like, oh my gosh. The Marvelous Mauves. This was one of the first eyeshadow palettes that I ever hit pan on a shadow, and I was so proud of myself. But if you've been around my channel for a while, you know that I have loved Marvelous Mauves for a very long time. This video makes me want to grab it out again because we have a lot of fond memories together. And then also from ColourPop, I have the Main Squeeze palette. So this is one of their 9-pan monochromatic palettes that came out, and this is the red one, obviously. And this is one that has survived a lot of declutters. Like I've decluttered the yellow, I've decluttered the orange, but the red one to me is just so fun and it's more unique to my collection. I don't wear red looks all that often because they can be a little bit overwhelming for me or a little bit more intimidating for me to do, but I think they're really cool, and especially paired with green eyes, it can make green eyes pop so much. So I'm always glad that I've kept around the Main Squeeze. And then I also included from GlamLite, this is the Dirty Martini palette. So I think the other two are more monochromatic than the GlamLite, but to me this is still a monochromatic green palette. That's kind of the main color scheme in here, and I really wanted to include this palette. It's a newer one to me. I purchased it when the Happy Hour collection launched recently from GlamLite, but I just fell in love with this palette. I really like green eyeshadow looks, and this one to me is so pretty. The shimmers are like out of this world. The greens are so easy to blend. I go into this one so much, and I think that it's beautiful, so I snuck it into the monochromatic palette category. Next we have the mini or small palette category, and this one I was very excited for, and I knew immediately which palette I was going to mention first. The Natasha Denona Mini Nude palette. Once again, a palette that I have hit pan on one of the shades. This was one of the first palettes that I tried from Natasha Denona that I was like, wait a second, I love this palette. Matte's easy to use. The shimmers were so beautiful. I have used this palette over and over and over. I've talked about this palette over and over and over. So it's made me go on to purchase so many other mini palettes from Natasha, but I love it. I knew I had to mention it. And then some of you might not be surprised to see this one, but from Charlotte Tilbury, her Quad in Green Lights. This is one that kind of made me start to love green eyeshadow. I would credit this palette. I got the 4, what are these called? The color-coded eyeshadows? Yeah, I got the 4 of these, and I saw the green one and I was like, that's not gonna look good on me. And I did a video trying all of them out, and the green look really stole the show for me, and I was like, wait a second, why do I like this one so much? And then I just keep going back to it and keep going back to that. These clouds are really expensive at $53, I know, but the green lights, it's more unique in my collection. I love that it's small. I personally prefer smaller palettes, and I just continue to love green lights. And then also from Sigma Beauty, I included the Rosy eyeshadow palette. So this one is the 9-pan palette. This is kind of like the smaller version of the Cor de Rosa, which again is a favorite of mine from Sigma. So I love the tones in here, you know, a little bit more on the monochromatic side also, but it's one of their kind of on-the-go palettes is what they call them at Sigma Beauty. I love this one. I was able to do a bundles collab with Sigma Beauty, and they let me choose an eyeshadow, and I put an eyeshadow palette, and I put the Rosy in there along with 3 brushes. That set is still available if you'd be interested in it. We were able to bring it back after it sold out. So it's still available on the Sigma website, and I am an affiliate with them. The code is Samantha. I have all the palettes that I'm talking about listed down below. I know that not all of them are still available, but any of them that are, I will have links to them. But the Rosy, she's a beauty. Next we have affordable / drugstore. So one that I knew right away was from a ColourPop. This is the Going Coconuts palette. I just really enjoy this palette. It's more on that neutral side. It's a little bit more on the cool tone side too. But this palette I think is so beautiful. It's quite dirty actually. I'm pretty light-handed, so a lot of my palettes don't get super dirty. But this one, I've always loved the Going Coconuts. I got so excited when this collection came out. And then also from e.l.f. Cosmetics, I really like their bite-sized palettes. There was a lot that I could choose from. I purchased a lot of them myself. But this one here is Cream and Sugar. It's definitely kind of dupe-ish to the Natasha Denona Mini Nude, which is probably why I like it so much. We just have the 4 shades in here. But I think that these are really good quality. So definitely enjoy the e.l.f. bite-sized palettes. And then lastly, I wanted to include the Violets by Juvia's Place. Again, this is one that I could have put in the monochromatic palette, the small palette category, but this is a beautiful eyeshadow palette. These purples are so intense, vibrant, easy to use. You can swipe them on with a finger. Like, this is just, it's such a beautiful palette. Like, if I want an intense purple look, I can go into the Violets, and it's gonna be gorgeous. And lastly, we have the high-end luxury category. So one of the first palettes I thought of was from Patrick Ta. This is the Major Dimension eyeshadow palette. This one was a $68 palette, and I didn't know if I was gonna love it, and turns out I do. It has the 2 cream shadows here. We have mattes and also really beautiful shimmer and more topper shades. There's a lot of different looks that you can do with this one. Again, I lean towards more neutral palettes, so this to me, so beautiful, so easy to work with, so expensive. So I'm happy that I enjoyed it. And then another one from Natasha Denona had to include the retro palette. I knew this had to go somewhere. I was trying to figure out where it should go, but this is one of my favorite palettes. It recently knocked off the Love as my favorite Natasha Denona palette. I know I've done a ranking my Natasha palettes, but I don't think I had the retro at this time, but I did a beauty battle recently between the Love palette and the retro, and spoiler alert, the retro palette won out. This is just so gorgeous to me. I love these tones. This palette just makes me so happy. And then lastly, I really wanted to include another favorite eyeshadow palette of mine, one that I've mentioned a few times in this video, and it is the Sigma Cor de Rosa. So this is more on the high-end side, not quite as high as Natasha Denona or Patrick Ta. The Natasha Denonas are $65, and the, what is the Sigma palettes? Are they 48? Let me double check myself. The palettes are $49, but again, I love that they have the double-ended brushes in here. But the Cor de Rosa, have I ranked all of my Sigma palettes? Now I'm thinking I should rank all my Sigma palettes because the Cor de Rosa is just so beautiful. But Sigma has some fantastic palettes out there, fantastic quality. But again, shade-wise, the Cor de Rosa just does something to me, so I knew I had to include it somewhere in this video. Again, that's kind of what I was saying, was like trying to mix and match and figure out how to include all of my favorite palettes and then put them into these different categories. But after that, that is it for today's video and this palette tag. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you want to share any of your choices, please do so in the comments. Again, thank you so much to Angie for such a fun video idea. Make sure to check out hers if you have not yet. Other than that though, if you enjoyed this one, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. I hope you also consider subscribing before you go, and I'll see you in my next video.